Well, hello, and welcome back to another podcast episode with Brittney Bundles. You are listening to the Brittney Bundles podcast, where we empower people through entrepreneurship. And today, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about a couple things to consider if you are thinking about quitting your 9 to 5. Okay, if you're thinking about leaving the traditional corporate workforce. And, just some things that I myself personally felt helpful when I was contemplating doing that exact same thing. So, if you are interested in today's podcast episode, I'm going to ask that you share it. Please share it on social media. Share it to your Facebook, your Instagram. Please share it amongst your friends and family. And then also play the podcast while you're riding in the car with a family member or a friend just to get the exposure out. Helping to promote this podcast not only helps the podcast and the channel grow, it also brings awareness and exposure to the entrepreneurs that have come onto the platform and have shared their experience and also have shared their products and services. So it helps us all as a community. If you are interested in being a guest on this podcast, please reach out to me via email at the letter B as in Brittney, Talks, TALKS at yahoo.com. I'm going to give you a moment to go ahead and share the podcast, and we'll be right back in just a moment. All right, so we are back, and thank you again for sharing the podcast and for tuning in. So, we're going to talk about some things that you may want to consider before you quit your 9 to 5. Now, some people have asked me, hey, Brittney, do you think it's a good thing for me to do? I get asked a lot of questions just being in the position that I'm in. I title myself an entrepreneurial motivator. I've been assisting people start businesses for years at this point. So during consultations and even my mentees, a lot of times I get asked that question, hey, when did you stop working your job that you talk about in some of your very first videos, and when did you know that it was the right time, and how did you do it, and what are some things that you considered before you did it? And so I'm not going to get too in depth in this podcast episode. I'm actually thinking about creating a series, but I do want to go over 5 points. The first being, be proactive. Before you quit your 9 to 5, you want to be proactive. You want to already have started thinking about what you're going to do to generate income. And not just that, because a lot of people do that and then they quit. Also, start saving. Yes, I said it, start saving. You want to start putting money aside now. You want to start downsizing if you need to. And some people may say, hey, based on the revenue that I'm making with my business, I don't need to downsize. Businesses definitely can be up and down. Large businesses, smaller businesses, and all in between can definitely experience, and most do experience, spikes and also declines. And so when you're switching from having a guaranteed income, receiving a check or salary, to pretty much relying on your business, which can be sporadic, you want to make sure that you have a savings. And even if it looks like your business is on the up and up, it can be, but it can also change. And that's not being negative. That's not being, trying to turn against optimistic thinking, but that's just being, in reality, things can happen. So it would be smart to start saving now. Also, I would downsize. I did this personally. I wouldn't tell you all anything that I didn't do myself. I would start downsizing. And what that looks like is I started cutting back some of the small things that I wasn't using, like different TV apps. I found that I was paying for like Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, HBO, Showtime. And although I still pay for a few of those different TV networks, depending on what I want to watch, at that point, I did start downgrading some of the services that I really didn't watch. And so also I looked at my cell phone plan. This was a while back when cell phone plans were a little bit different. And I felt like there were a lot more add-ons back in the day and more things that you could do to cut down your bill than now. That's just my personal opinion. But I also looked at different phone bills, different internet bills. I needed internet. I needed a fast speed, but I did look into the different promotions. I'll let you in on a little secret. Working for a cable company in the past, I worked in the retention department. And one of the things that we would look for customers or listen for customers to say is another competitor's name, or that they were considering disconnecting their service. And then at that point, it would unlock discounts that we could use. So If you are considering downsizing, saving more money, call your carrier, cell phone, and internet. Let them know that you are considering disconnecting the service, or mention another competitor's name on the phone and see what kind of discounts they offer for you. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about too, in regard to being proactive, is paying your bills in advance. So, if you are, saying, "Hey, my business is making good money and it's a great time for your business," start using some of that money to pay ahead your bills. Now, I did make a video on my Brittney Bundles YouTube channel going over how to budget your income as a business owner. I broke down exactly what percentage goes to what, and I did that a few years ago, because it is very important to be organized now that you're not going to be depending on a set check. And even when you have a set check, it's important to be organized, but more so when you don't necessarily have a guaranteed income coming in. So pay your bills in advance, okay? That means paying your rent up. That means throwing more money on your energy bill. That means throwing more money in your gas tank. That means putting more money in your savings, making sure that you are paying ahead. And even if you don't have anything else or anything that you want to pay ahead, like I said before, putting the money in your savings. But I recommend start chipping away in advance and get ahead on as many bills as you can before you quit. The next thing that I want to, and also, I didn't mention this, but insurance. Check into your benefits, see how long, ask some questions. You can contact your HR department, or you should be able to, and just get a feel for how the processes work. Now, you want to make sure that you're careful on how you phrase things, because you don't want your employer to catch on to the fact that you're thinking about quitting, because they may let you go first when you're not ready. So to keep everything, in your field and on your terms, just ask some general questions. Just, phrase it in like a curiosity style. Hey, just checking in to see, how do my benefits work? If I were to cancel my benefits and find another provider, or let's say I get on my spouse's insurance, how does that work? Well, I need to give you all note. Like, just kind of asking questions to see if they're going to give you more information back. Some people say, it's kind of like playing like you don't know, just to get as much information as you can. So be careful about that, how you phrase the questions. But I would definitely start getting information, because what you're wanting to find out, one of the things is, if you have insurance through your employer and you quit, how long will you have insurance after you quit? And what insurance are you going to go with after you quit? And making sure that if you have children, they're going to be covered as well. Next thing that I want to point out, or that I want to mention, is write your notice. Okay, so many entrepreneurs just quit on the spot. They don't write a notice. They just go ahead and they just quit. They either stop going into the office, stop going into work. They tell their boss off, and they just leave. You always want to leave a good impression wherever you go. Okay, you don't want to burn any bridges, even if you feel like, hey, I'm not going to need this company anymore. There were times that I knew for a fact, where I really felt strongly that I would never go back to certain companies. And I didn't, thank God. But I still left in a gracious way. I still left in a professional way. Because you want to do that. Number one, it makes you feel better down the line. You're not going to think about it and be like, dang, I wish I wouldn't have done that. It speaks a lot to your character, and it gives people less of a reason to try to retaliate. Sometimes jobs do try to retaliate after you quit. And let's say you decide to get another part-time job down the line, or let's say you decide to get another job down the line while work your business. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that have jobs and businesses. It's a huge misconception out there that you can't work and own a business, because you can. A lot of people do it. And some people, I guess even a bigger misconception is that when your business starts generating a lot of money, you shouldn't work. No, there are people that generate a lot of money in business and they still have their 9-to-5 jobs. And they don't plan on leaving their jobs. They never started their business to leave their job. They started their business for different reasons. So, and some of those reasons just may include starting a business for their family, starting a business based on a passion that they have, starting a business to generate even more income. There's just different reasons, different strokes for different folks. But write your notice. You don't necessarily need to date it now unless you know the date, but write your notice and be sure to give that to them and leave respectfully and professionally. That way, if you do want to get another job and a job calls your previous employer, they don't have a lot of negative things to say about you, right? Like, they can't say this person turned over all the chairs and cussed me out and never came back. You don't want that. So leave professionally. The next thing that I want to point out, if you are considering quitting your 9 to 5, is set up areas to receive income. If you don't have a bank account, pay off whatever account that you have that will allow you to reopen your account. Open up bank accounts, because you're going to need some legitimate bank accounts for your business to be able to get certain assets in the future, or certain how can I say this? I don't want to say that necessarily, because there's always a way around certain things. You can definitely just cash out some things and buy items and assets outright. But if you're looking at getting loans and going to lending institutions for homes or vehicles, business loans. Let's say that you're even applying for an apartment. A lot of different places will ask for your business income if you're going to be using your business income as your source of income on those applications. And some people don't have those things set up. They don't have a bank account that's legitimate. They don't have a savings. They don't have a business account. And so it's going to make it even harder when that time comes to apply for certain assets or to apply for certain living arrangements, maybe like I said, an apartment or a studio or wherever you're wanting to go, without having that set up. So be sure to set up areas to receive income. This goes hand in hand with different streams. So not just your business, but you want to make sure that you have, I would say, at least 5 streams of income. So maybe one is an affiliate that you work with. Maybe another one is different sponsorships that you've opened up your business to accept and collaborate with. Maybe the third one is your YouTube channel. Maybe you've created a YouTube channel producing content for your business. Maybe you've also created a podcast. That can be your fourth one. And then maybe you also do like a service that complements your business. So if your business does like business consultations, for an example, like I do, another service that complements it is also offering secretarial help or business help. So there are certain business owners that I've worked with for years at this point that contact me to do certain tasks for them, and I create an invoice and like a estimate, and I send that over to them, and then I complete the task that they're wanting me to complete. And it looks different for every business, but just considering some other ways to receive income would be very wise before you quit your 9 to 5 as well. And this is because when one area isn't producing as much, like I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, businesses can be up and down. And then also when you're depending on like a social media platform such as YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, wherever you're receiving additional income, those terms and conditions are subject to change as well. So you can have a creator that was making, let's say, easily 10,000 a month off of YouTube, now making 800 a month. So it just kind of a lot of things are factored into being a content creator and getting paid on different platforms. And so on top of knowing that businesses go up and down based on the economy and based on, what's trending and based on people's needs and a lot of other factors, it would be wise to have as many streams of income that you can manage as possible. The next point that I want to go over is become organized and content conscious. So being organized, that's pretty self-explanatory. I know it's easier said than done, but become organized. You're going to need to be organized with your financing, with where you put your money. So your bank accounts, you're going to need to be a little bit more organized when it comes to budgeting. If you're good at budgeting now, become great. You're going to want to make sure that you are organized in how you plan your day, because whereas, right now you may be going to work and then you do your business when you have time and you're still using your job income. So the income that you, may have lost during your business or may not be receiving with your business, you're still making it up someplace. Well, when you no longer are going to the 9 to 5 and you have the business and you're not used to working your business all day, it can be a challenge to figure out, where am I even going to start? Like, what would I do in the morning for my business? What do I do in the afternoon? Instead of thinking, well, I'll just post. That's not necessarily the best thing for your business all day. And that's not what's necessarily going to bring in revenue. So figuring out, like, how am I going to structure my days each day? How am I going to plan around my days? I didn't want my children to go to daycare when they were very young. And so that was one of my motivators to get out of the 9 to 5 workforce. And so when I did that and they were at home with me full time, I had to figure out how to plan around their schedule. So how am I going to create YouTube videos and my children are up watching cartoons right now. I don't want to get a copyright. And how am I going to record my podcast? And my baby is up during this time. And, she typically cries around this time, or she's whiny, or, this is the time that I need to put her down for a nap. So kind of figuring out how you're going to plan your entire day with your children included, if that applies, or how you're going to, if you're going to school, juggle school, your work, like just planning everything out. Getting a planner would be something that may be smart to do, helpful to do. I know it's helped me, but just having an organized schedule. And then also content conscious, I should say, realizing what's good for content. So there are sometimes when you are planning out your day that you can look and see, okay, what is going to allow me to knock out two birds with one stone? So I know that I need to get a video out on my platform, but then I also know that I need to package some orders. I know that I need to create content for my YouTube. So consider doing like a vlog where you're recording you packaging the orders and you going to the post office and showing and advertising in that video some of your products, and including your link down below in the video on where they can purchase. So just looking at what you can do throughout your day, or what you're doing throughout your day, and what can be used for content, because a lot of people overlook content. Really, I like to post videos even if they're not necessarily my favorite videos, because if you get in the habit of only wanting to post what's your favorite videos, then you may find yourself not posting really anything. So getting out the habit of procrastinating and talking yourself out of posting content that really can grow your channel. Honestly, some of the videos on my YouTube channel that have the most views were just spur of the moment videos that I just created just off a whim, and they just happened to get a lot of views. So making sure that you're sticking to your content schedule and making sure that you're not overlooking any areas of content, because you may be doing a lot of things in your day that are just, it may seem boring and routine to you, but could actually be entertaining and sometimes even comforting to watch for others. The last point that I want to go over is think strategically. So what's your plan B? I hear very frequently, I don't have a plan B, this has to work. I love that thought. I love that idea. I love that confidence. However, I also love being prepared. Okay, so just being honest, just living in reality. Sometimes our plans don't go as we plan. I've even heard the saying, man plans, God laughs. Sometimes our plans just don't go like we plan. And if they don't go like we plan, you still want to be confident in what your vision is and confident in your ability to reach your goals. But you also want to have a plan B so that you don't have to put what you're doing on hold and go back to work. And I'm not saying that going back to work is like the worst thing. Some people go back to work and, like I said, they don't mind it. Some people go to work because they want more experience. I recently took on a internship, so it's like a volunteer type of thing to get more experience in a certain field that I'm going into. So everyone's different. Everyone has a different goal for their life, and going to work isn't the worst thing for everyone. But I'm saying, if you are someone and you're like, I really don't want to go back to work, or I want this to work, I don't want to have to start over or take a break, then it would be smart to make a plan B. So if you don't generate enough income with your business, what is your plan B? Would you apply for a loan? If you apply for a loan, how would you pay it back? Would you look at collaborating with another business? Would you look at selling part of your business? Would you look at hiring someone to assist you with your business? How much would that cost? Is that in the budget? Would you look at what else? An investor. So just, and if you did look at an investor, what percentage is like your cutoff part, that point that you wouldn't allow someone to, buy? Is it like 51% of your business? Is it 30%? So just thinking about what your plan B would be. Also, is my plan B doing this on the side? Would it be doing that? Just kind of figuring out like, what other ways could I generate income if this did not work or does not work as I'm planning to? So I'm all for quitting your 9 to 5. This is something I've definitely have done, and it's something that I feel very near and dear to my heart, because everyone has their reasons as to why they start their business, and everyone has a reason as to why they no longer want to work their 9 to 5 job. And I'm all for it. I support you in it. If that's you, then there's, entrepreneurs that want to work their 9 to 5, like I've mentioned, and still run their business. I support you in that too, if that's what you want to do. It's all about what works best for your life. But here are some tips or some pointers, some thoughts that I thought about that I think would be very important to consider before making that leap. Let me know what you feel, what you think down in the comments. Let me know if you've tried to leave your 9 to 5, if you've successfully left your 9 to 5. Leave some comments for those that are considering doing the same. Also, please be sure to subscribe. If you want to be a part of this podcast, if you want to be a guest, or if you want your website or services or products promoted, please be sure to send me an email, the letter B as in Brittney, Talks, TALKS at yahoo.com. You can also follow me on my social medias. I am on Instagram at Brittney_bundles. That is Brittney, BRITTNEY _bundles, BUNDLES. I'm on Facebook, Brittney Bundles, YouTube, Brittney Bundles, Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, at Brittney Bundles. And I will talk to you all in the next podcast episode. Until next time.